Hello everyone, it's Alex. Today I'm going to try to explain how Kwik renders group animations because it has been a challenging for most people to understand the difference between animating just a layer and a group. Groups are much harder to animate, and let's understand why. So we have this project here with three layers. We have the background layer, and we have the body of this sarquash, and we have the eyes. And my decision to have the eyes separate is because we're gonna animate the eyes separately. So what I did already was to select the eyes, the layer of eyes, and I came here to animation, blink widget, and I create this widget, which it does pretty much is to use a basic blink widget. And when I create it and I publish my project, you will see that we have the eyes simply blinking here. Okay, nice. Everything's okay. So if I decide to animate a group, or even before there, let's try to understand how the anchor point works. Every time that you select an image object, which means in our case a group, a layer, you see that there's the boundaries of the layer selected, and Corona will always use for image as default what we call the middle center anchor point, okay, or reference point. So everything is calculated based on this position here. However, when you select a group, let's pick in our case here the two layers forming the group. In our example, both are in the same boundary, but let's say if the eyes were here, the boundaries would be much different. But anyways, so we have here, when you set a group, instead of using this middle center anchor point, Corona uses this top left anchor point. So until version 2.3 of Kwik, what I tried to do was to recalculate the anchor point of a group based on some calculations that I have. And this works pretty much for almost every situation. But there are some situations where the calculation is not enough. Let's see an example. Let's create a group. We have these two layers selected, and I'm going to create a group here. I'm going to call this GP monster, accept everything else. So let's say you are in the layer eyes, for example, and you come here to animation and said, let's animate this group. What Kwik does is, because you have a layer selected, it will already get the position of the layer. It's impossible to get a position of the group at this moment because, again, groups are something that will just exist in the Corona code, not here in Photoshop. So we could use this reference as starting point. But again, I cannot, for example, for a group, do things like that, position exactly where I want something, because again, the group does not exist. So let's cancel this one. So I'm going to go back here to the animation. So how to handle that? What most people do when they create groups, they try to pick the closest layer to the entire group. In our case, it should be not the eyes, but this sarquash layer here. Okay, with that, we have more or less the position of this guy here. And because the eyes are inside these boundaries, it's going to be much easier for us. But let's see how Kwik 2.3 handles that. In our case, let's not do nothing at this moment. Just keep as is and set the duration for 1. Okay, I'm going to create this and I'm going to publish. So here's the way Kwik renders that in version 2.1. And you may say, why? Because again, the calculation of the anchor points in this particular case, when you haven't changed the position of anything, the calculation is not enough. So it's wrong. So what I did for Kwik 2.4, which is in beta right now, it's the beta 2, it was to change a little bit the way it calculates the anchor points. Let's see how. So let's see how it changed with Kwik 2.4. Again, if you did this like I did in version 2.3, when you edit this animation, again, you will see that all the reference here were zeroed. And this is the way the way Kwik 2.3 does, because it believes that it's a group, so the reference points are in top left, and top left means always 0, 0. Again, it's not enough. So I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna recreate this animation. Again, I select the largest image in my group, and I come back here to the linear animation, and you see the window's pretty much the same. I'm gonna put 1. The main difference now is when I click create, and if I decide to edit, Kwik will still save the position. So let's publish it. Okay, now you have the animation, but you may say, Alex, this is wrong. I need to animate the Sasquatch from out of the screen to the screen. So let's try to do that. So now that we have our group animated, we can come here, select both layers, and simply move it a little bit across. Oops, I'm sorry. Across the screen. Go faster here. All right, and let's try again. Publish. And now you see the Sasquatch animate correctly. Again, because the new calculation. New calculations for a group are very hard because some people decide to do one thing, other people decide to do another thing. So hopefully we are gonna download version 2.4 and play with that and provide feedback. So if all the calculations are okay, this is gonna be the final one for calculations. So again, the things that I would love to let you know and understand is groups are different than layers. So that's why it's so important to, when using group, to play and to test in the simulator before make a final decision on that, because again, they are different. You don't have a visual clue like we do have for the layer, at least not now, hopefully in the near future. But this is the way to do that. And also remember, let's say if you had, for example, another object here, and you decide to group this object with the Sasquatch, you must to understand that now, if you select everything and create a group for that, take a look. The anchor point is not there in the middle of the Sasquatch anymore. Now it's in the middle of all the objects selected in the group. Okay, so if you just decide to use the rectangle as the animation starting point for your linear animation, you are gonna need to play again many times until you figure out what are the correct positions for the X and Y, because again, we moved the center point for that, and there is no way in the linear animation preview to preview that. Hopefully it brought you more answers than questions, but if questions still exist, feel free to comment just below this posting. Thank you very much.